Supreme Court building in DC, flashing headlines, justice scandals rock court, calls for ethics reform grow, Congress proposes new rules. The US Supreme Court, the nation's highest judicial authority, is now facing some of the lowest public trust in decades. After a wave of high-profile ethics scandals involving justice, bipartisan lawmakers are stepping up, pushing for historic legislation that would imposes a formal code of ethics on the court for the first time ever. Supreme Court ethics reform what at stake in 2025. What sparked the reform push? Justice Clarence Thomas, Justice Samuel Alito, luxury tips, private jets, ProPublica headlines. It all started with a series of investigative reports. Justices included Clarence Thomas and Samuel Alito were found to have accepted lavish gifts, luxury travel, and real estate deals from politically connected billionaires with no public disclosure. Critics say it's a clear conflict of interest, but here's the catch. Unlike lower federal Supreme Court justices are not bound by any formal code of conduct. Legal scholars say that right now the highest court in the land is held to the lowest ethical standards. That's the problem. What's in the proposed legislation? Supreme Court Ethics, Recusal and Transparency Act breakdown. In response, a bipartisan group in Congress is backing the Supreme Court Ethics, Recusal and Transparency Act, a bill aimed at closing these gaps. Key provision includes a formal binding code of ethics for justice, mandatory disclosure of gifts, travel and income, recusal rules of if a justice has a conflict of interest, a transparent process to investigate ethics violations. Senator Angus King and Lisa Murkowski at press conference. The bill has support from both sides of aisle, rare in today's political climate. Senator King said that this is not about ideology, it's about accountability and restoring trust. How the court has responded. Chief Justice John Roberts at hearing court building justice working. Facing growing pressure, the court released a code of conduct in late 2023, but it has no enforcement mechanism. It was entirely voluntary. Critics call it too late, too little, saying self-policing won't solve the credibility crisis. Ethics watchdogs say that the public deserve more than good faith. We need binding rules with teeth. Opposition and legal debate. Capitol Hill debates, conservative think tanks, constitutional graphics. Not everyone's on board. Some conservative lawmakers and legal scholars argue that Congress has no authority to regulate the court's internal affairs. Critics say that this is a dangerous overreach. The Constitution separates powers for a rich reason. Others fear the reforms could be used to politicize the court or pressure justice based on ideology. But proponents say this is about basic transparency, not political control. Why it matters now? Protests outside the court, headlines about major rulings and public polling results. Trust in the Supreme Court has plunged to history loss, with recent polls showing just 37% of Americans view the court favorably. Public trust in Supreme Court 2010 to 2025 and with massive rulings looming on abortion, gun rights and climate policy and more, the integrity of the court is under intense scrutiny. Ethics reform may not solve all the problems, but supporters say it's a necessary first step. Court exterior gravel striking, American flag waving. 9 justice lifetime appointments, no oversight until now. The battle over Supreme Court ethics is heating up and it could be shape the future of judicial accountability in America. Supreme Court ethics debate 2025 reform or resistance. Subscribe for in-depth update of law, politics and power.